So.
Love it.
That's fun.
Love it.
Well, since you have a beautiful, wonderful 6-figure position, now, I'm sure coaching is not going to be an issue for you, but I'm excited about your new journey and your new chapter. I'm going to hit go on this live, and I'm going to allow people to come in, and we're just going to talk about your journey and your experience and how it's been. I'm curious, though, even to just have a conversation before individuals start to trickle in. How like shocked were you when you were able to like get this news? Like, obviously you came to us to get help, and sometimes even on our lives, you know, people feel like these success stories are too good to be true. Like, you do verify that like you're a real client and that this is a real success story.
We might ask you to do that.
Like, I just want to make sure there's no confusion anywhere.
Yes, no, for sure.
I love it.
She said when I talked to her yesterday, she's like, I was having a little bit of a doubt, right? That this is going to work.
I mean, yes. I mean, I will say when I started the coaching, like, I was very determined to just get out of this situation, and it was not easy. I mean, I talked to Kim about it on our second call. Like, I kind of had, you know, some hiccups here and there, but you know, I think when I actually got this dream job, which was actually earlier this week, I was pretty shocked.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the timing of it. So yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my love, as people trickle in, let's just kind of start and let's get a little vibe going. So we have Mom's client here. And I'm just going to call her F for all intensive purposes. Obviously, you know why. And so when it comes to this scenario, I want to kind of take you guys on the journey of her success in personal coaching. So she, just to give you the spoiler alert right from the beginning, she manifested a 6-figure position in under 90 days. And she used personal coaching specifically for this, coaching with Kim and Sam specifically. And so I want to kind of just hear from the very beginning from you, like, where were you before you found me? And I know we already kind of like have been gossiping a little bit ahead of time, but like, you know, where was your situation? Obviously, you know, you opened up about how it was obviously very much not ideal and how you'd really come to a point of, you know, you're determined to change things because you hadn't been able to on your own. But I want to kind of understand and paint a picture for the audience that's listening and or watching, that where were you, like, within your situation before finding me, and how was that journey of finding me?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it kind of all began back in November of last year, and I had been following you on my own for a while before that. Okay. I want to say maybe like, you know, from the beginning of last year. So, okay. You know, obviously I was very familiar with your teachings. Yep. And your content, and, you know, it was something that I definitely had been trying to apply on my own. Yep. But truthfully, my world kind of came crashing down back in November. I had actually just gotten back from New York, where I had spent a lot of money, obviously, because when you go to New York, you spend a lot of money. True. So, yes. I had gotten back, and at the time, I was working a job where, truthfully, I was very unhappy. Like, it was just not a place where I wanted to be anymore. But, you know, the pay was pretty good. And, you know, so I was kind of like afraid of like, okay, you know, what's going to happen? Like, if I leave, like, you know, is it in the job market at that point, I think started to get, or even a little bit before that, it was a little bit like iffy. So I was just kind of like in this limbo of just being very like anxious, sad, and just wanting to change the situation, but not really sure how. And 2 days after I got back from New York, I guess my supervisors, you know, we had like a virtual call. I work remotely, so you know, we had a virtual call, and it was a weird layoff because it was kind of like, you're an amazing employee, but, you know, we feel like you're not happy, so we're just gonna let you go. So I was like, okay. And this was like right before Thanksgiving, December. It was something that just kind of really, like I said, it was just something that I was not expecting, but something that I kind of needed for it to happen in my life, for me to just kind of change things. So ever since then, I was just kind of, not doing the best mentally, and again, just trying to figure out what the heck I'm gonna be doing, like, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And it just kind of became really overwhelming. So that's when I just kind of, decided back in January, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the investment. Luckily, I was able to do it because I was not really, I had the financial means to do it, right? That's when I was just like, I really want to reach out to you guys and just get it going, because I just was not, I don't know. I mean, I was your teachings are, like, the free content that you share is amazing, but I do think, like, having someone who, like, crafts the plan for you, like Kim did for me, really just kind of helped to get things moving. So yeah, that's kind of like where it started. And then
for 2 seconds, I just want to pop in for 2 seconds before you go to the next thing, because you've inspired a question within me with what you said. So I think, if I remember correctly, you said, from the time you found me to the time, you had the issue in your life of being let go, to the time you decided to take the plunge and invest, obviously all different time frames, but you've at least been following me since last year. And so I'm curious. You've inspired a new question that I've never asked anyone before. What do you think was the main difference between the potency of the free teachings and why maybe they weren't able to get you the results you wanted, versus getting to see behind the curtain, come into coaching? And you know what I mean? Because it's not like we can reinvent manifestation on this side of the curtain. Like, the public teachings that are on our, socials, they're there to be like a public service to other individuals. It's meant to be like a donation to others for if they want to do it themselves. But I can't exactly reinvent coaching, or like, not reinvent coaching, pardon me, but like reinvent manifestation behind the scenes. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously going to be very consistent teachings and consistency, but with the added discipline, with the added structure, with the added personalization, with the added support, with the added ability to reach out and ask questions, get clarity, stay the path, all those extra fun things. So I'm curious as to, why do you think you weren't able to make the free teachings work, but when you came into paid, obviously you were able to get things up and working and moving?
I think that's a really good question. And I think for me, it really came down to having someone have like a personalized approach for me and do all of the heavy, I want to say heavy work in the sense of like,
heavy lifting, yeah. Kind of, though. Yeah.
And doing, the affirmations, and kind of, when I had a couple questions for Kim that I feel like, I mean, could I have found answers in the content? Like, absolutely. But it's like, you have somebody right there that's just kind of like, oh, no, this is your problem. This is why you're not.
Use me, people. Use me to your ability,
Might as well.
Use me to your ability.
I love it so much. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I just felt very inspired to ask you that question. Okay, so that's amazing. So when it comes to the situation, I'm curious as it pertains to, so you came into coaching, obviously the support, you're getting all that fun jazz. So take me on the journey of what was maybe one of your harder moments, even, behind the curtain of paid coaching, that, was really difficult maybe for you to overcome, but within personal coaching kind of allowed you to overcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah. I would say, when I just to give you a little bit of context to when I got to that really bad moment that I know exactly what it what it was. I had started with Kim, and then like literally a day after, I started to just see a lot of movement, right? Like a lot
That's
of
good.
little things, like just people gravitating more towards me, complimenting me, giving me like random money, that sort of thing, right?
We love the
I love
24-hour
random-
results.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I was like, oh man, I love this.
Secret sauce over here. That's crazy. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, I saw movement. I started to see movement pretty quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, I think what happened was that I was at the time, I was, interviewing for like several jobs, right? I had several interviews lined up. I want to say it was like probably like 3 or 4 at the time that I was interviewing, right? So I was feeling really confident, but I think a part of me was still I was struggling with some limiting beliefs. So what happened is that I let that situation trigger me when I got rejection emails from these companies.
Yeah.
So I kind of went into like, I guess a quote unquote depressive episode where I was just honest, just to be completely honest with you guys. Like I was just kind of, in bed, not wanting to do anything. Just, I guess crying a lot about like, am I going to get out of the situation? Like what I did do though was I kept doing the affirmations. Like no matter what, I was doing the affirmations, even if I was not believing them at all at that point.
Yeah.
And then I just had a very honest conversation with myself, and I was like, listen, you need to get out of here, and you need to just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing. And then I had to give myself a little bit of, I guess, tough love when it came to that, because I could see that it was just not, like, just staying in that way, it was not doing anything for me, right?
So how quickly did you see, sorry to cut you off there, I just wanted to interject something real quick. How quickly, because the beauty of what you said, it's so important, and it's the key trait everyone needs for manifestation, whether you're in personal, one of the programs, ours, someone else's, you're doing it on your own. This is one of the key traits of what makes someone successful versus not successful, despite two people doing the same thing. One person will have success and one person won't. And the key trait is what she said right here. It's the ability to, even as you're seeing opposing evidence, being able to say your affirmations, go into your self-talk, maybe even edit or modify your affirmations to be more, maybe like blanket affirmations, or maybe even sometimes more general, so to lessen the resistance. Because here's the thing that not a lot of people know, that I want to set the record straight on, and that we do in our programs and in our coaching, is that when you start to say to yourself these new positive statements, this new positive self-talk, these new positive visualizations, acting as if, feeling, all the fun things. The problem with that is, and it's not really a problem, but it's just a side effect of doing the work, is that you will be a walking magnet to negativity. And what I mean by negativity is, because our subconscious mind, our brains, bring us more of what we believe, what usually tends to happen when someone gets on a routine of any kind, no matter how long it's been for you, is you tend to be a walking magnet for the opposite results. How many people have experienced that? And then it freaks you the hell out and you don't know what to do, how to combat it, how to work your way through it. It's very mentally challenging during that period of time. Like she said that, in other instances, she was not able to get herself out, but luckily this time she had Kim to reach out to. And the reason why that is, think about the neuroscience here, because it makes a lot of logical sense for me, but I want to make sure it pieces for the other people on this call, is that if your brain brings you more of what you know or believe to be true, all that means is right now you have a really strong belief for the negative. Think about what you're attracting, or what maybe even she was attracting in that moment. She was attracting rejections of jobs as she had gotten let go of a job and was affirming for a job. So all that tells her in that moment is she can take it a lot less personally, because she can be like, oh, this just shows me that my beliefs are not quite on board yet. This shows me that maybe, as an example, my belief system of, I'm just going to make up something random, like, no one's going to hire me, is pretty prevalent still. I need to work on that. My belief system of, I don't know, I'm just giving another example. I am rejected, or I am not good enough, or I'm not chosen, or who's going to hire me. That's still pretty prevalent. I need to work on that more. Versus it is hard when the universe, God, source, whatever you believe in, serves you up a plate that isn't exactly what you want, or is quite literally the stark opposite of what you're wanting. The reason that she was successful versus someone else in the same situation wasn't is one key trait. Despite the fact that she was served that dish cold, despite the fact she got that opposite results, she laid down, she took care of herself, she had compassion for herself, but she said her affirmations and self-talk anyway. She did her routine anyway. She did it even though it felt fake. And how many times do I say on this application and all of my applications that I'm on, do it tired, say it crying, say it weak, say it depressed, say it miserable, say it in the shower when you're bawling your eyes out. Just keep going at it. It doesn't matter if it's superficial. It doesn't matter if it feels fake, because whatever you persist in, the brain doesn't understand what exactly is going on in your environment. As intelligent as it is, the brain lacks one key trait that actually works in our favor, and that's discernment. Brain doesn't know the difference between a real or an imagined event. And so whatever you just keep focusing on and or telling it, that's how you rewire the brain to be in the direction that you want it to go. So if I just put on this beautiful 85-inch TV, however many inch TV that I'm looking at in front of me, if I just put onto that TV, beautiful imagery of wealth and abundance, and I'm looking at it and I'm staring at it and meditating on it and talking about my wealth and talking about my riches and talking about how I'm blessed to be in this situation and how money's flowing to me and how my job has made me more happy than I've ever been in my entire life. The brain's like, okay, this is her reality. This is what she's focusing on. This is what she's talking about. So therefore, I will give her more of it. It doesn't mean that you have to be perfect and never have a bad day. I have bad days. I have days where I cry. I have days where I'm seeing opposite movement. But the reason that I'm able to get what I want in spite of, and F was able to get what she wanted in spite of, is she continued despite what was shown to her in her external reality. She continued despite the dish that was served to her. Because your ability to be successful is tied to your ability to buckle down when things don't look the way that you think they should. And that is just so pivotal. And I think that that's a message that a lot of people need to hear. I just think that that's just so important. Like, I even had a client myself, and she was wanting to get her brother to stop drinking, just for a 2-second side pivot for anyone who may be out there struggling with health or anything like that. And she was starting to panic when he went on a little bit of a drinking binge one night after she said her affirmations. And she texted me, and I got it the next morning, and I'm cool as a cucumber. Like, nothing throws me off. And she was like, I was saying my affirmations, and then he went on a little bit of like an alcohol bender. And I was like, I was so unfazed, first of all, by this situation. The first thought that came into my mind was, the universe has a really funny way of making someone quit alcohol. And literally, he said to her hours later, when she persisted, that was like the worst experience with alcohol ever. Like, I'm giving it up permanently. And I was like, see what happens when, just because you can't see how the inner workings are occurring doesn't mean that it's not working. And it's our job to remain optimistic and positive and to continue to tell the story we want to benefit from. I apologize. That was such a long rampage there, but I think that it's going to be so helpful for people, because I really feel like your determination in that moment set you up for success. So I am curious to kind of understand, How quickly afterwards were you able to get out of that when you just literally continued with what you were doing in spite of the evidence you were seeing? And, were there times that you engaged, or were you able to just kind of get out of it and steer yourself?
Yeah, no, and thank you so much for sharing that about the story about your client, because I feel like we all kind of struggle with similar situations too. So that was super super helpful even for me as well. Yeah, so as far as it's just to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly, like I guess as far as me getting out of that episode, right, and just kind of
how quickly were you able to see the positivity? Because here's the thing. You could have sat in that, and this is where I'm going with it. You could have sat and made a fort out of it. And you could have derailed yourself for days, hours, even weeks on end. And you didn't. You continued to say what you needed to say, even though it felt superficial and fake. And so I'm curious, how soon after that low were you able to start feeling better? Were the results in the sense of at least your emotional standpoint, your emotional well-being, able to be felt hours later, days later? Or was it something you kind of teeter-tottered out of and it took a couple of days or it took a week? That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I would say, it actually, it's funny because when I decided to just kind of change things around, it was actually a Sunday, right? So it was kind of like a good way.
The Lord's Day.
Yeah.
It was the Lord's Day. The Lord was on our side. I love it.
Yeah. So, I was like, all right, this week, this is what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do and all that stuff. So I think, probably by Wednesday or Thursday, I was feeling a lot better. Not to say that I was not feeling better, the day or even that same Sunday, right? When I decided to do certain things, for example, I work out a lot. I'm very active. And, during that time, I really was not being very active, which is not like me at all, right?
Yeah.
That's part of who I am. So I just kind of made it a goal, all right, you're going to the gym every day this week, and that's what we did, and, I think that helped a lot, at least for me, to be able to go back to activities that I enjoy doing, and I think everybody has that, hopefully. I mean, it doesn't have to be working out, it could be anything, really.
Yeah,
right?
It really could be.
Yeah, so basically it took me a couple days, I would say, to get back into a more neutral stage, which I think is better than being negative, right?
Yes.
Or completely positive. And I would say probably within 2 weeks of that, I had completely just shifted everything around. I started to, for me, obviously I was focusing a lot on abundance and jobs and money and stuff. So for me, I started to dive more into the world of freelancing, and I started getting a bunch of clients with that.
I love it.
And then yeah, just basically, I remember a couple bills that had just been paid for, randomly, which I thought that was nice,
That's nice.
Yeah.
All movement is good movement, no matter what it looks like. But that's obviously something that's huge. Do you feel like you were able to feel the gratitude of that? Because that kind of leads me into my next question, is that the number one thing I struggle with, let's put it this way, and I think all of us, like Kim, Mr. Sammy, Miss Kim, myself, we all struggle with, is getting our clients to see the small wins as also wins, and being able to be being able to feel grateful for it and feel gratitude. Because so many people, if they can't see the pot at the end of the rainbow, it's almost like, yeah, this is nice, but this is what I want. Yeah, this is nice, but this is what I want. I don't want to say it's ungrateful, but it's just they're in such a laser focused vision of not being able to actually see that well, this is something that didn't even need to happen. Yeah. And it did. And it is something to actually pause and feel the feelings for. Are you feeling like you were able to access that in those small things? Or was that something that took some time to adjust to?
I think I made it a point, and even now, to just really practice gratitude at all times, because I think that's something
gratitude is the attitude, people.
Yeah, that really is. And I mean, I think for me, I just kind of made it a point to just realized how lucky and how fortunate and how many good like things have gone right in my life, and just focus on those rather than the bad ones. And it takes, I mean, it's like an exercise, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Gotta
you work
build
out more,
the
it's
mental
gonna
gym.
yes, the mental gym. So I definitely, to answer your question, I think from the moment I started with Kim, I kind of just made it a point to just always acknowledge and stay grateful for
Yes.
the good things. And when things don't go that good, then you still stay grateful no matter
Yes.
what. And it's
Yes.
hard, but I really try to prioritize that.
Yeah.
So.
Gratitude is the attitude. Gratitude, this is my quote that I say all the time. Gratitude is the attitude because, and this is why it's so important, is that it accesses the law of multiplication, meaning that what you have, what you focus on, and what you feel gratitude in your heart for, albeit even if it feels a little superficial, forced, or fake, the thing is, we can never get to the next level without being grateful for what we have right now. You can have the best plan in the history of the world, and it's not going to be able to get you to where you want to go. Because if I can't even be grateful for one flower, I'm not going to be able to be grateful for 3. I'm not going to be able to be grateful for 5 or 10 or 12, because I'm looking at the one with such a perpetual state of lack, and that will constantly repel more from actually occurring in my reality. And so this is such an important lesson for people to learn, that look around you, there's always things to be grateful for. Even when I had like no 2 dimes to rub together, I was unemployed, I was jobless, I was sitting at home. And the only thing I could contribute to my family at that time was literally just like stay-at-home daughter wife, stay-at-home daughter. I used to call myself a stay-at-home wife without being the wife, of cooking, cleaning, laundry, bills, making sure things got paid on time, making sure late fees got erased from the account when we didn't have proper amounts of money. Just different things like that, like taking care of the household, because that was the only thing I could do at that point in time. But I still found, even in those moments and even in my rejection letters, things to be grateful for. I have a family that loves me. I have a family that supports me. Like, I have my health. I have my brother. I have this. I have that. There's so many things that I could tap into for gratitude, even though the big things that I was wanting wasn't exactly working in my life at the time. And I want to encourage you that, like, even things as small as like my mom or my brother bringing me coffee in the morning, I have to sit and pause and be grateful for, because if they weren't doing that, I'd be doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I always look at the people around me and feel gratitude for how much I'm supported. And so, like I say, I always say this to just say there's always something to be grateful for. And whatever you're grateful for and you feel that in your heart, it will multiply. It will multiply better than any affirmation or plan ever will. The feeling of gratitude multiplies things exponentially in ways that are actually just unexplainable and don't make sense and can never make sense. And in potentially even in some ways where you can't get that type of multiplication anywhere else, doing anything else. There's just nothing like it. And so I really love that. I want to backtrack and backpedal for a particular moment here, though, and ask you one more question. I know that you came in with a determination. So 2 points to my question. I just want to get them out so I don't forget them. So the first point is, in your obviously Manifest with Persis plan, we put for all of our clients a brain correction exercise. And that's to help for things like intrusive thoughts and, times where you're spiraling or you're struggling. And it also is there. It's basically something that I created. It's a psychology backed, scientifically backed, like, way to rewire the brain for lesser resistance. And so I'm curious, during the moments of spirals or difficult moments, kind of backpedaling to what we mentioned before, we have found a lot of good results from utilizing that technique and giving it to our clients, where some people have said to me, at least I know, and I'm curious how soon it worked for you, that when they were applying that religiously, they were able to see a decrease of their intrusive thoughts by like 50% in like the first 2 days. Now, the key words here, when they were applying it religiously, they were able to see that type of very drastic shift in their mental health. I'm curious if there were ever moments where, obviously we know that you had some spirals of your own, but that you tapped into that and how good it worked.
As I told Kim once, I think I was the queen of overthinking.
Was past tense in the past. Yeah. It's gone now.
Yes. it's no longer a part of me.
Yeah.
So we're leaving it behind. But that's to say that I did struggle with a lot of intrusive thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me, immediately doing that exercise, it's been like life changing in that sense, because at first I didn't think, I was like, is this really working? But now that I'm like, now in this moment, me as like, my new, I guess, version of myself, I'm like, yeah, it did, because when I'm kind of like analyzing my thoughts, I guess, and what I'm thinking and, what I'm doing, I definitely feel a lot different than before. Like, I feel like I'm able to correct things quicker.
Yeah.
And not let things like spiral, So.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to kind of like go to my next one, and I think this might be one of my last ones, and then we can maybe go into some advice or any questions Kim or anyone else may have, is like, what are some of the key traits that you feel like people in the audience that are watching this, they need to be able to come into coaching and just knock it out of the ballpark, like home run? We talk a lot about how when you come into coaching, you come into these programs, we really are looking for very specific people that are motivated, they're determined, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Their situation is not something that they want, and they're highly motivated to put their head down, do the work, do what needs to be done in order to go from point A to point B. Like, we talk about a lot of different characteristics that we look for in our biggest success stories. What are some of the characteristics you think you had, or that other people need to have in order to come in and really, like, put it frank, kick ass and take names? Like, let's just be frank, to kick ass and take names. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, and before I forget, I just wanted to mention, too, that, now that you mentioned success stories, when I used to, I still do watch the success stories, but, back then, like, when I started watching you, I was like, I'm going to be one of those someday. I don't know what, but...
Yes.
Yes. And we did it, full circle moment.
Yeah.
Full circle moment.
Yes. Yeah, so obviously when I was having my last call with Kim, I was like, if you want me to join,
I'm like, girl,
I'm
let's
here.
do this.
Like, holla at your girl. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to mention that. But
full circle moment.
Characteristics, I would say definitely, at least for me, I think determination and resiliency, because you are going to have to need a lot of determination, a lot discipline. That's another one too.
Discipline is huge.
Yeah, huge one. Discipline, and then resiliency, just in the sense of like, kind of like similar to me. I think we all go through this, right? We go through difficult periods, and if you're somebody who just gives up easily, then it's not, you're not going to get as far as you want to get. So
yeah. I love it. I mean, I second those characteristics, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, there are definitely people that come into coaching or our programs and they're not as wildly successful as you or the other clients, the superstar ones that come on the lives. And the reasoning behind that is because they lack certain characteristics, such as consistency, such as discipline, such as whenever things are kind of going in the wrong direction, they'll sit in it and make a hut out of it, kind of like, or a fort, whatever the word I used before. And it's like, we can't go anywhere. We're crippled by the fact that right now they're not able to tap into, is what I want to say, because they have it in them, but in that moment they're not able to tap into the mental fortitude to do it weak, do it sad, do it discouraged. And
no matter what,
we can't make you know what I mean? We can't, we can sit here, we can root for you, we can tell you what needs to happen, we can encourage you, we can boost you up, but we can't like force your hand, nor can we do it for you. And so as a coach, sometimes it feels very crippling that we want everyone to come in and have 100% success, of course, but some things are like out of our hands in the sense that it hurts to also see someone sit and kind of get defeated by something. But I do feel like coaching or programs can be helpful to also educate yourself about the process, because think about it this way. Some of you guys on this live, or whoever even watches the replay, may not even know that when you start to do this, you're going to be a walking magnet to the negative, and that's actually no reason to quit. Or maybe you didn't even realize that you're supposed to continue to do things crying, discouraged, weak, that even if you do it and it feels superficial, it doesn't matter. Just get in your repetitions, get in this, get in that. And the problem is when you're completely self-led, if you don't have this knowledge, if you don't have this support, if you don't have this wisdom, if you don't have these, expert insights, maybe what you may have done instead, and correct me if I'm wrong, is how easy is it, when you were self-led, to not know what to do in those moments? Like, you don't know, okay, maybe I should change my plan. Maybe I should change my affirmations. Maybe I can't do it right now because I'm on my own and I feel defeated and I don't actually have support. The manifestation, love, money, health, whatever it may be, it's a lonely journey. You really got to have a really, really deep grit within you to do it all on your own. And sometimes even people that have all the education, the lack of support is the thing that makes all the difference in the world, because it's easy for them to get beat by what is. It's easy for them to see something and be like, well, dang, I don't even know if what I'm doing is correct.
And I want to just touch on a moment. You always saying, I had a call this week with someone I spoke with who has had a really hard journey, and you're always going to be shown the opposite of what you're manifesting,
always.
Because your brain isn't believing what you want to tell it.
At least not right now. Yeah. But our job is to persist in spite of. So that was a very long-winded question, but I'm sure you know where I was getting at with it. Like, I'm curious about your thoughts, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I definitely think having Kim help me a lot to navigate this process and not, like when I was spiraling, which I did, I think it was extremely helpful, more than I could have done for myself. Because like I said, I had been following your teachings for a while, and I have manifested things on my own, right? But I think, this was a big thing for me. I had a lot of limiting beliefs around it. I just, when I gave you context about my situation, I was stuck at a job that I didn't like for almost 2 years, right? Yeah. And I was just staying there because the pay was good, but I just truly, a part of me didn't believe I could find a place that was better for me and still pay me just as much or more, which is the case with the one that I have now.
And how much more are they paying you? You told me the other day.
So about like $25,000 more.
More a year.
I love that. Oh my gosh, so it's even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely left me in a lot of, I'm super grateful, because the even just the way that it happened, if I can just kind of quickly share.
Of course.
Share the full circle moment here. I guess as I also began to implement, embody the new version of myself, right? I felt called to expand my community. So what does that mean? For me, I live a little bit farther than a lot of the friends that I've had, for my whole, for a good chunk of my life. So I kind of was just like, I need to make new friends where I am here and just kind of start expanding my community. So that was super helpful to just start like expanding and networking. And I've always, even the job that I've had before, which actually was the one that like opened up somebody that I worked with, that I became really good friends with. He had left before I had left, maybe like a couple months ago. And, we always kept in touch. But I'm saying the power of like community and networking, because he reached out to me and was like, hey, do you have experience doing X, Y, and Z? And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. That's me. So basically, he connected me to the person that I was going to be reporting to, and I truly didn't know what to expect from that interview because I didn't have any context, right? I didn't have any job description, any points, nothing. It was just kind of like, all right, you go talk to her, share your resume, whatever. And I was pretty much hired on the spot, but I was hired first. This was 3 weeks ago. I was hired as a
1099.
99. Yeah, I was hired as a 1099, but they gave me a really good hourly rate. And at that time, remember, I was saying I was still doing freelancing and stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is what I'm meant to be doing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it. But basically, earlier this week on Tuesday, the CEO of the company schedules, a random call with me. And, I thought it was just going to be like, a meet and greet. He did say how everybody had been speaking really highly of me and my work, and, he wanted us to chat. And literally, it still gives me goosebumps because I was not expecting it at all. But he basically got on that call, asked me a little bit about myself, how I was feeling at the company. And truthfully, I'm feeling great. I think everybody is super easy to work with. They let you do your own thing. It's remote. I feel great. So, I communicated that to him, and he was just like, look, I'm a jealous man. So, I heard that you have other clients, and truthfully, I want to bring you full time here. So what number is it going to take? And I was
I'm like, oh my God.
What number is it going to take? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yes. So he put it on me, and I was just kind of like, so we calculated.
I hope you overshot it.
Yeah.
I hope you overshot it.
Well, actually, he was the one who did, believe it or not.
Wow.
I had a number in mind, right? But he was actually like, okay, how about we give you $10,000 on top of that, right? As a base, and then I get bonuses and stuff, and 401k benefits, all that stuff. So,
I'm a jealous man.
Yeah.
A king.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I see what I like and I take it.
Yes. That's his mentality. So I'm officially starting full time tomorrow, actually. So yeah.
Yay! I'm glowing for your success. Our whole family, we just absolutely, we love to see people happy and successful. And I just feel so happy for you, literally just glowing. I just think this is the coolest thing ever. We haven't had a money success in a long time. So thank you for blessing us with being able to use our skills for something outside of love.
Yes.
That is really, really helpful. And so when it comes to the situation, I think that you have really had an incredible
Transformation.
transformation, come up in this scenario. I think that, what you did, there's no coincidence in any of it. And it's because you were able to go through this step, our step 1, our step 2, to be able to shift, a lot of things mentally, starting from your self-perception to your job, to money, to things like that was able to lead you to this. And I'm grateful that you chose us and you felt comfortable and safe with us to help lead you in this process. We really want to see as many people be successful in this. And is it hard? Absolutely.
Yes.
But is it worth it? Also, yes. At the end of the day, the goal is not to create a path where there's never an obstacle. It does not bring about, good character. It's not actually how the process works or anything else like that. The goal is not to pray for perfect conditions, is what I say. The goal is to pray for strength so that when difficult conditions come about, you're actually able to get through them. And so being able to have that strength and determination and grit in spite of is literally the recipe of success. And I say that not to put a limiting belief that it has to be hard, but just to go back to neuroscience. When you believe something very strongly to be true, you will be faced with obstacles. And that's literally a part of the process. And once again, not a lot of people have a full understanding, despite maybe watching hundreds of videos online. They're not really educated about the true science with this spirituality and how you will be tested. Do you know what a test is? Do you know how to pass a test? Do you know how to make the test go away? You will be met with intrusive thoughts. The goal is not to never have an intrusive thought again. The goal is to develop the skill of the mental fortitude to be able to redirect yourself and to render the intrusive thought powerless. Goal is not to pray for perfect conditions. It's to be able to pray for the tools, the strength, and the resources to be able to handle imperfect things when they come. Because this is, how do you say, spoiler alert for everybody, you will always keep desiring things for the rest of your life until the day you pass away off this earth. We will never stop desiring things, which means if you desire something, you technically possess multiple beliefs that are opposing it. And so when it comes to certain areas of your life, our job is to literally face those opposing beliefs, shift it, rewire the subconscious in order to be redirected, to what it is that we want.
Can you redirect your thoughts even in spite of those hard times?
Because it's a requirement. It's not an optional thing. I say this all the time in a very fun, comical way. If we were to go back to high school or college, there are some things that are core subjects and there are other things that are electives or optional. This is not an optional. This is a requirement. And if we can't develop that, we are going to be in a scenario where it's going to be a very, very, very hard battle. It's going to be a confusing battle. And not only that, but you're probably, most probably, but then again, I don't know, and I'm open to being wrong in this, going to be one of those people where you're at this for years on end and you're waking up and life is passing you by and you seem like you're in the same spot despite watching hundreds of videos, despite applying countless techniques online. They're just literally, you're literally not moving forward.
And I have to go back just for a second. One girl, my weight loss girl.
I do. I remember her.
She did different things on her own for 10 years. 10.
Wow.
And I even think I shared with F the other day, if not, she manifested 5 things in 1 month. 5. In spite of the difficulties, in spite of people telling her and I hate to use the word fat, I hate to use it, I hate to use the word body shaming, but that's what she was faced with.
Yeah.
And
it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of grit to buckle down in adversity. But if that's the cover charge to get to everything you've ever wanted,
is it worth it?
Are you willing to pay it?
Yeah.
Are you willing to pay it? Because one thing I will never do is sugarcoat or tell a lie that, you can have your limitations and you can have your results too. Mm-hmm. The price of one is the other. The price of one is the other, and it will remain that way for the history of time and into infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
That will never change. It's more about when are you ready to actually take your desires seriously. Because the thing is, when it comes to the scenario, your desires, and this may sound very inspiring to a lot of people, and I hope it does, they're waiting on you. You may think that you're waiting on it, but your desires are actually, in this very comical example, I like to think, I go back to Monsters, Inc., standing behind a door, waiting for you to use your key card to open it. But the problem is, every day you keep subscribing to your old story, you keep entertaining the negative, limiting, or intrusive thoughts, and you're not actually rewiring your brain for success. You just keep yourself separate from it. And the way that you know that is, this is the one question I asked myself when I spent 3 years trying to manifest with these general techniques online and it got me nowhere and nothing, is, okay, I've been sitting and doing this for 3 years. Let me ask myself a really fair and honest but triggering question. Have I actually shifted or let go of the limiting beliefs that I had from day one? And that was a tough pill to swallow. That was a tough pill to swallow because I was sitting there at year 3 and my life still looked disappointing. And you couldn't tell me that I did not have an education, because I had, in some instances, more education than even some individuals that were teaching this subject professionally, which is what inspired me to make my page to begin with. I was like, but how does my life still look so disappointing despite knowing everything about this topic that is, known to man? And it's because I didn't have that discipline. I didn't have that consistency, and I didn't want to let go of my limiting beliefs. I was trying to collect $200 in pass go and get a little pass out of the difficult part. But I had to let go of the limiting beliefs. Otherwise, I was not going to be a success. And when I did, and when I actually buckled down and got serious, I was able to change my whole life in 90 days. And that's not a long period of time at all. And so I say this as motivation for other individuals from however long period of time you've been manifesting. If you're fair and honest with yourself and you're really, really truthful, you don't have to shout it to the world. You don't have to say it to anybody else. I know it can feel embarrassing. I felt embarrassed. Hell, from day 1, do you still have the limiting beliefs to now? Because the thing is, that shows that the processes, maybe the education, the application, the consistency, the discipline, the personalized touch, all these things, there's some type of incongruency somewhere. And I feel like it's our moral obligation that if we want what we want and we're not willing to just give up, our job is to go after it. I don't know about you, but I'm a very self-motivated individual, and I get driven by, well, what happens if this doesn't change in 3 months? And that pisses me off. What happens if next year I'm still in the same situation? That lights a fire under my butt. Because I'm like, I will be damned to be in this situation. I'll be damned to have this in 3 more months. Like, I'm someone that's very naturally motivated to go after the best, and stagnancy irritates the living hell out of me. I can't handle it. And so that's how I'm able to have such rapid changes in my life, is because I ask myself, like, okay, if I'm still struggling with this in 3 months, how pissed off am I going to be? And that causes me to buckle down. And that causes me to see, okay, where am I BSing myself, as terrible as it is to say? And I'm not trying to say that you're BSing yourself. I'm just saying that this is how I have really, really honest conversations with myself, because I know that it's not necessarily about the universe's timing or God's timing or source's timing. It's I haven't gotten my head out of my ass, and that's why I don't have it. It makes a lot of logical sense as to why I don't have it. How can I have it when I have a laundry list of bullshit? I'm not gonna have it. And I have to be so honest that, you know what, if I keep this laundry list of bullshit, how much more longer am I willing to delay what I want? How much longer? A month, a week, 2 weeks, a year? How much longer am I willing to keep up with the bullshit? And I get real angry about this. And these are the conversations, I'm just being honest of what I have with myself to get me naturally motivated to F some shit up. And that's what I want to pass along to you guys, is that if you want your life to look different and you feel like you're a person that's meant for more, it is our responsibility, because the universe is not going to sit and bop your desire on the head and drop it on your head like a coconut one random Tuesday afternoon. It is our job to consciously create it and attract it. We have more power than what you may think. And if you're sitting here and in this scenario, you're in a thing where, or in a funk where you're subscribing to the negativity, it's our job to get out of it. And in this scenario where you may not be self-motivated, I like to still ask myself, how long am I willing to sit here?
It's a good question.
How long am I willing to sit here? Because that causes motivation. Let's say life doesn't change for another 10 years. Am I going to be okay with that? That pisses me off. You don't need to have the type of determination and grit I have. Not everyone has it. I don't know a lot of people who have it. But I tell you what has worked for me to help get me motivated. Because there's nothing that's going to piss me off more than being stuck somewhere I don't want to be. There's nothing that's going to piss me off more than not meeting my own standards and expectations that I have for myself. And my bar is very high.
Yeah.
My bar is very, very high. And I'm not like a normal person when it pertains to this. There's not a lot of people that have that type of bar, but I'm just once again opening up about my situation, what has helped me, the conversations that I have had and that I have feel has helped me be successful and get to the level that I'm at. This is the mindset, and the mindset determines 80 to 90% of your actual results. And so if you can't get your mindset right, this isn't going to change anytime soon. And all we're saying is that it's our job. It's my job, it's your job, it's whoever's job that wants to change. Or the alternative, because my mind thinks very consequentially, is just give up then. And that pisses me off. That pisses me off too, because what are the options? It's give in to the situation and make a change, or give up and say, peace out. This is not for me. I'll be happy here. I'll figure out how to be happy here. Because what's the alternative? What's the alternative? It's either like do it
or don't do it.
Or just be happy then. And I'm like, nope, that's not going to work for me. So I'm just going to need to figure out how to do something to make this better. And this is how I think, and this is what has led me to be successful. And these are just little nuggets and tidbits of wisdom that I have to share with you guys. But I want to thank F so much. I know we went off on a couple different rampages there. Are there any other last pieces of advice, tips, tidbits, anything at all like that that you'd like to share with the people before we let you go for the rest of your beautiful Sunday?
Yeah, I've been just kind of thinking and digesting, and I think the biggest thing for me was just realizing that it's all about my own mindset, right? And what I am feeding to it. So prior to starting with Kim, I kept thinking that it was all just external, right? And then once I kind of just realized this on my own, and everybody kind of does it at their own time, right? But I think for me, I just realized the power of just having, realizing that it's all internal. Like it's all internal. Whatever is going on externally is being reflected from your internal. And I'm saying this to say that, you know, it kind of baffled me a bit when I started watching you, and you kind of just made an emphasis on, like, you know, focusing on the internal, the affirmations, this and that. And it was just like, well, what, like, you know, what about like this, or what about that, or, you know, what about, and it's like, no, just, you know, trust me, just focus on the internal. And this is coming from someone who, and this is something that I'm still working on, you know, like building on myself. I have the need to control a lot of things, right? And externally, right? So I think, you know, whenever I see something that's kind of like not going the way that I want it, before I would kind of like impulsively react, right? But now, because I've been doing a lot of the inner work, it's easier for me to navigate these situations. So I guess my last piece of advice that I think just kind of ties everything together is that it's all internal work, and I know that may anger some people, it makes some people sad, it may like elicit some certain type of responses, but it's just the way that it is. And it actually, once you realize how good that actually is, the fact that like we have control over our lives, and, you know, our internal dialogue and how that reflects in the world, it makes everything a lot easier. So
it really does. Yeah. It really does. This is how I see it. I see it as, you know, it depends on your faith, and if you're even someone who has faith or practices faith of any kind. But even though I'm not a Christian, I love to go back to the religious scriptures, and in almost every religious scripture that has ever been, you know, out there, what it is it talks about, I think in the Bible it says, ask for what you desire, as if it has already been granted. And so there's always like, I feel like this is a good disconnect, is like we just weren't taught how to pray correctly. We just weren't taught how to actually ask the universe for what we want in a way that produces a positive outcome, coupled with the fact that life has let all of us down in one area or another or multiple, which has, in a sense, imposed beliefs on us of limitation and lack. And with where she was, she just didn't feel like she could have something else that could pay her. She just didn't feel like she could have X, Y, and Z. And that's why she stayed stuck. And it's almost as if God, the universe, forced to sever that tie. And I do believe there is like that type of force out there to help motivate you.
Didn't someone tell you something about some guy was sitting, something from the Bible, where he was just sitting?
Oh yeah. That's a different one. Yeah. And so when it comes to this scenario, I do think we are nudged along to make these changes in our lives. I feel that even in my own life. Like, I had spent 8 or 9 years down a medical path just to graduate right at the height of COVID. All the surgery centers are shut down, and now I'm an unemployed person with a full-blown medical degree, that the first thing you want to do at the age of 28 is finally get your first paycheck after devoting your life to medical for all these years, and it's the one thing I can't do. And that's where my page was born, and I choose to see that as God's redirection. Regardless of law of assumption, law of attraction, anything else, I do feel like there is a sense of serendipity and maybe a little bit of that divine intervention of things happening to us that we can't really quite explain that leads to the positivity on the other side. She got cut off from her job, and they didn't even have a good explanation. They just said, we just don't feel like you're happy here, so we're just going to let you go. That's not even, first of all, a reason to fire anybody. But what was on the other side of that? I like to subscribe to this type of belief, because what was on the other side of that for her was a 6-figure position. That was what was on the other side of that. I graduated at the height of COVID. I also faced things like rejection letters because surgery centers are shut down. I have a specialty in surgery. Surgery is literally what I've trained my whole life to do. And now I can't do the one thing that I'm in love with, that I'm passionate about, that I want to do. Well, that's when I started to post online. That's when I went into my depressive era, because my identity is medical, and it's the one thing I cannot do. And so who am I without my medical? I don't even know who the hell I am. I fell into such an extreme low of depression, anxiety, crying bouts. Like, I couldn't even get myself out of bed. I was so depressed and I was so miserable. And then I just started to make like faceless, content online and just post it. And I literally was able to create more money in my business that I created online to be able to help support myself, pay off my parents' debt, make a good life for myself than I ever did with medical. And so I feel like that was God's little redirection for me. That was God's little redirection. And I didn't want to go back to it after that, because I fell in love with this. And I feel like I was able to actually get the same type of satisfaction and fulfillment of helping better someone's life. When I was doing surgery, I saw the cutting out of cancer as me giving someone life, as me giving someone more time with their family, more time with their friends, being able to be of true service to the world, regardless of how little or big the operation was, because I was general surgery. So I could do anything from a hernia to Whipples to anything else in between. And this is a little bit more medical jargon. But when I came back, I was robbed of that opportunity because all the centers are shut. Now I have no ability to earn. I have no ability to have a positive impact on the world. My purpose has been stripped of me. I don't know who the heck I am. My identity has been robbed of me. And then from that low got born the greatest phoenix from those ashes. If you would have told me, back then that I'd be where I am now, I'd be like, you're a bold-faced liar. You're lying right to my face, and I don't appreciate it. But I do just feel like sometimes, God intervenes sometimes. I feel like
Puts you on that path.
He gives us a little redirection, and we don't always realize it. And sometimes when we don't take the redirection, life continues to get progressively worse until we do. Because I know I faced a lot of resistance, and it wasn't until I finally gave in that the windfalls of abundance that have always been there waiting for me were finally open. Because I was finally doing, the things I was supposed to be doing, rather than fighting the resistance. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this live. We've touched on a lot of different things, and this is kind of a big live.
And I appreciate my girl for coming on a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday last minute to get this out there to the people, to do God's work on the Lord's Day, which is ironic because it was the Lord's Day. It was the Lord's Day. So I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and I am glowing for your success. I know we'll see you soon when we focus on getting in your man, your husband, manifesting this soulmate, baby.
Yes.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I love it. Understand that we have so much love for you. We're so happy for your success, and continue to just be blessed, my friend. Be blessed and all the abundance for you.
Thank you very much, guys, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Yes,
sounds good.
Have an amazing Sunday. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. And so I really love this live. I think it's amazing. I think that when it comes to God, the universe, source, as well as us, I do believe that, and my beliefs are my own, and they can be things you subscribe to or things that, you don't take on. But I know how I have seen God work in my life and in other people's lives. I do believe a little bit in this red invisible string theory. And I do think that we are creating. However, when we aren't on the correct path, we will be deterred. We will be deterred in order to correct our path. And so it's not about, is God or universe or source in control, or are you? Because God lies within you. That power lies within you. But if you're continuing to do harm to yourself, if you're continuing to take the wrong path, if you're continuing to go down bad avenues, I do think that certain serendipitous things do occur as like a sign from God to try to help us. As an example, my girlie whose brother was an alcoholic, I'm using that in past tense. She prayed for his wellness. He went on a bender and then decided it's not for him anymore. Someone who had seen that superficially, that had every right justification to say, you know what, I just prayed for this and now he's drinking again, and he's drinking more than I've ever seen it. It must mean God isn't real. It must mean that the power is outside of me. It must mean that this is not possible. That could have very easily been the mindset in that moment. But I saw that and I was like, that's a really funny way to make someone quit alcohol. Literally the first thing in my mind. I was like, that's really sneaky. I was like, if you're not looking closely, you're going to think that something went wrong. When in reality, that was God's way, or the universe's way, or the path of least resistance. And remember, what is the one thing in manifestation we can't control? It's the how. Sometimes something has to be let go or fall apart for something to come back together. And all we're in charge of is to monitor our beliefs and let go of the how. And that's why we have to let go of the how, is because when you let go of the how, that's where the miracles can start to occur, because our small little puny human brain can't comprehend what needs to happen in what manner.
The moment of events.
Yeah. And so that's what I believe. These are my thoughts. Obviously, I could expand on this for 10 more hours. It's a big, complex topic. But my overarching theme or point for you guys is that you have so much more control than what you believe, and that your reality is largely created, 95% created, based upon what you believe and what your subconscious mind knows to be true. That creates 95% of it. And so when it comes to this scenario, that's what we have to work on. As an example, she wanted to manifest a job because she became jobless. And she worked on her beliefs and she got it.
I'm super proud.
But in order for her to get it, something else had to go. The other job let her go. And I feel like that's the exchange. That's the exchange that happens that we can't comprehend. And that was the exact determination and grit she needed. She needed to get let go of that job for her to buckle down, for her to take things seriously, for her to get motivated to get out of her situation. That's where I feel like God plays small roles in our lives. Obviously, it's a very complex topic.
We can talk about it another time.
But yeah, this is what I believe. You believe what you desire. I believe what I desire. I speak with a lot of people. I know a lot of people's the intimacy of their own situations. And I've just seen it play out too many times. I do think that there is a universal hand in the cards that we are dealt. However, that God lies within us, and your desires and or God is waiting on you to do what you need to do. Because God can't just hand you $1 billion with a poor mindset. People that even get the luck of the draw in the lottery lose it. They lose it. If your mental is not strong, your physical will not last. Let's put it that way. Your mental needs to be strong to be able to get out of a situation. Things are 90% mental and like 10% action. The most I'd be willing to go down is like 80% mental and 20% action for individuals, that are in a slightly different situation, but I would never go below 80. And so this is what I feel, even when individuals are coming into us and they're trying to restore their marriage, call in a partner, something usually leaves for something else to come in.
Yep.
That's how it works. Universal law of nature. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. The one thing I will say before I hop off is we have a 50% off sale that's happening right now on Manifestation University. So some of the things that she's learned is in Manifestation University. This is the one program where I give you my processes and everything to be able to be successful. You're with me for 2 months and have unlimited 24/7 access to me to be able to help guide you in each and every aspect as it pertains to your desire. You're going to get access to me via a group chat. You're going to get access to me via weekly live group coaching calls. And you're also going to get access to the Manifestation University actual course, and you're going to get to keep it for life. So this month it goes away forever and it's not coming back because I'm kind of moving and doing things a little bit differently from here on out going forward. This is the program that has my specific processes that has allowed individuals to manifest in 1 million in 30 days, 5 million in 30 days, 60,000 in 21 days, call in their soulmate that would later become their husband in 21 days, go from single to engaged in 90 days, manifest like 5 different things in 30 days and so much more. When you have this specific system and my manifestation process, it makes the process of manifestation 10 times easier. I'm going to be educating you from top to bottom and giving you all the support you need to be able to help guide you and mentor you through this process and show you how your power's always been within you and how to harness it so that you can be successful and so that you can manifest your deepest desires on autopilot. And so that's the real goal of this, is to step into this era in our lives. You only have about a week until the end of the month, and this kind of goes away forever. If you want to join it later, you can, but we're starting from April 1st and we're ending on May 31st. So if you join later, just understand you're missing out on some things that you're not going to be able to get back. Best way to learn more information about this and all the details of it is to hop on a strategy call in the link in my bio. We'll be able to sit down, and our coach Kim, who you just heard helped facilitate this amazing success story, is going to hear about your situation and see, are you someone that would be a good candidate for this and that this process and system would work for? And more importantly, are you in the correct mind frame to come in and be successful? Because we really want to protect our space and only let the best of the best individuals that we feel like have the maximum chance of success to come in. If you're in right now, but you're not really interested to be disciplined, you're not really interested to be consistent, we're probably going to politely decline you because we really want people that are of They're just of a different mindset. They're in the place where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want the process. They want the system. They're ready to do the work. They're ready to be disciplined. Basically, this is our request to you. We've made this program as easy as possible, where we do all the heavy lifting and all you have to do is come in and apply it. Like, we've literally done everything else. And I can't think of anything that's more powerful than that. You literally just have to show up, clock your attendance, and do your homework, that of what we give you in the program. I can't think of anything more simple to do. And so if we're not in that space to do that, you're just not ready for what we have to offer right now. And that's okay. But I want to be incredibly honest that this is going to go away and it's not going to come back. And so if this has ever spoken to you, or if you're new to this and you'd like to learn more about it, definitely grab a strategy call in the link in my bio, talk to Kim, speak to her, and let's see how we can help you be the next person that comes on to this live. And so I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Please do give me a follow over on Instagram, YouTube. I post other content over there, and the success story will also be posted over there. And I hope to see you guys very soon.